Welcome to the Babblesnonsense podcast, where I'm your host, Jonna Grimes, and we're here to discuss any and all things, but especially the shit that I want to talk about. Because let's face it, I have a lot of shit to say, and after all, you are listening to my verbal diary. Let's get started.
Okay, there we go.
Technical difficulties.
No more echoing. So yeah, it was just echoing for me from the both.
So since I wasn't recording, technical difficulties, this is my first Zoom podcast. So we are talking to Monique right now. She is a travel nurse. I call her a travel gypsy because she has been travel nursing, and she just told me this, so now I know the answer, 6 years. And she was doing this pre-COVID. So she's an OG travel nurse. And that's what we're here to talk about because obviously COVID was going to come up. I'm a healthcare provider, and we got some stuff to say about COVID. I know she's gone on some rants on her Instagram, and I love it. I love it. So we're going to talk about COVID today. So if you don't like talking about COVID or you don't want to hear about COVID, just skip this episode and move on. But we've got our own opinions about it because we both are working. Well, you're actually working in the midst of it. So tell me how travel nursing was pre-COVID.
Yeah, so I would say travel nursing pre-COVID, first of all, you needed license for like every state. So that was really annoying because if, unless you lived in a compact state, which a compact state is a state where you can practice in certain states under that one license. But I mean, even just like 5 years ago, there were only about 13 compact states, and there were states that nobody wanted to go to.
Yeah.
So, now there's a lot more compact states. Like there's like 25 of them now. So almost, pretty much more than half at this point of the United States are compact states. So that was expedited a lot during COVID as well. So the whole licensing process has made it a whole lot better because before you were applying for license and waiting 3 months, 2 months, 1 month to get your license. And all of a sudden we don't need that anymore. And it's like, oh, wow, did we ever need this before?
Right.
So that's been, in my opinion, a really great change with COVID. And then before COVID, also, people didn't make as much money with travel nursing.
Yeah.
So a lot of people didn't really do it because, you can make more money with travel nursing, but it really depends on ultimately if you live in an expensive city. Like if you travel nurse to an expensive city, then you'll make more money. But it's not that expensive of a city, you wouldn't. But now, like you just go anywhere where there's like a COVID overflow and you can make a lot of money with travel nursing, which is why I think, it's kind of sucks because a lot of nurses now, they want to be a travel nurse, but it's like for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, I'm going to go make this COVID money. And it's like, but wait, no, you have to understand travel nursing pledge.
It's hard. I don't even think I could do it, number one, because I'm so regimented. Like I like to go to the gym. I like to have, don't get me wrong. I want to do it because I just bought a house and I need some money, but I just don't think I could because you are in different places all the time. And especially with this COVID nursing, you do what, 21 days straight?
Yeah, it just depends. Initially it was 21 days straight. Now a lot of places are doing 6 days a week for like a month or two.
Well, that's better.
Yeah, it's a little bit better. So you're doing 6 and then 1 off and then 6 and then 1 off, 6 and 1 off. And you're just kind of doing that for a month, 2 months. I kind of prefer the 21 days.
Just to get it over with.
Because once you get in the swing of the 21 days,
yeah,
you're just going to work every day. Once you give me that 1 day off, you're like, oh my gosh, what is this? And like, you never want to go back. So I don't need that type of freedom.
So you had quit travel nursing right before COVID started. Like you went back home and you're like, okay, I'm done traveling. I'm ready just to settle down back in my home state. You're in Miami, right?
Yes.
So you were like, okay, we're done with this. I've done it for so many years. And then I saw on your Instagram, you're like, well, going to New York.
I know. I was so mad. I was like, oh my. And it's really interesting how that happened because I still did not want to travel nurse. I came home and I got a job 5 minutes from my house. It was so perfect. Monday through Friday, like really relaxed job. Like, I usually work ER. This one was like a pre-op PACU. I was like on my retirement way down, and like a day surgery center. And so when COVID came, they went into furlough because we weren't doing elective surgeries and stuff like that anymore. So I was like, okay. And, so I kind of wasn't working, but I didn't care. I was like, well, I'm just going to take this opportunity to, just relax. And we would work still like maybe once a week or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at my friend's house in Orlando. I went to go visit her for her birthday because all of her birthday plans got canceled. So I was like, well, let me just go like hang out with her. And then one of the other girls were like, oh, they need nurses in New York. Like, she was like talking about it. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a personal problem because like, I'm not going anywhere, like that is not for me because I'm done. And then I saw that like nurses and were coming like out of the woodworks, like people that weren't even competent for it were like stepping up to go and help. And I was still just like, good for you, like I'm not going to do
I just
that.
love you so much.
I'm serious.
You're like, yeah, good for you. You do you, boo.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't want to do that. And then, I just kind of felt it kind of reminds me of like, in the Bible, like Jonah and the whale. Because I just feel like I just did not want to do it at all. And I just feel like it was pressing on my heart. And so I finally said, I'll just pray about it. And then you had to call in to this hotline. And I said, well, I'll just call. I heard it was like really hard because a lot of people were calling. I was like, well, they have the help. So I was like, I'll just keep calling. And if I get in, then I get in. If I don't, then I try it, And so I called, but I was calling with the hopes that I wouldn't get in. I was just like, I'm going to call, God, look, I'm calling. I'm doing my part. And I called and I got in and I was so mad. And they were like, well, you have to leave tomorrow. And I was like, okay. And, I wasn't mad, but I really didn't want to go. And I just kind of felt bad because I was like, I'm actually really trained for this. I work emergency room. I've traveled already to like, 12 plus different states and cities. And it's just like, who better than me to go and do this? And I've already worked in New York several times.
Well, speaking of that, so your stories when you worked in New York, you were talking about how bad it was then before COVID. Because I remember you telling me a story.
That?
Yeah, I remember you telling me a story because we were talking and you were like, John, so we worked in Huntsville together. For those who don't know, we worked in Huntsville as ER nurses, and the ratio is not as bad as what you think. Like we complained about it because we didn't know anything else. And like you, at most, maybe 4 or 5 patients. But she was in New York and she was posting on her Instagram and was like, they gave me 5 heart alerts at one time. Like, what are they doing? Like, in a heart alert is where someone is actively having a heart attack. And Monique was like, how in the world am I supposed to take care of 5 people at the same time? All having a heart attack. This was pre-COVID, guys.
Yeah, pre-COVID, New York is never the place to work. That's another reason why I didn't want to go. They don't have ratios. So I've worked in the ER there twice. One ER had no ratios, so just unlimited. So you just got it. So I would have sometimes 14 patients, 15 patients, and it was a sick ER, kind of like Huntsville has the level 1 trauma, it was a heart center, everything. So you have like 15 patients. And then I worked in a different ER and the different ER, they capped off at 8. And I was like so happy. I never thought I would be happy for 8 patients. And that was the trauma ER. I was like, so their ratios and their work environments, I don't understand how they do it. I think if those New York nurses knew there was better out there, they would leave, but they don't.
But then you go into COVID back into New York. Is the ratios even higher now because people are sicker?
It was like the same. It was like 20, 15 patients, stuff like that. I was just like, oh, great.
Okay. But then towards the end, y'all got more help.
Yes.
Okay.
That really helped. So in the beginning, when we first went, it was just like 15 patients or so. And you're like, oh, that's good. And I was like, I remember this. And then maybe like a week later, we got like so much more help. We were down to like 6 patients per nurse. Like, okay. And then the next thing, we're down to like 4 patients per nurse, 3 and 2.
So that's good.
And then all of a sudden, we were like 1. We got so much help, and it was so delayed. But we got so much help that we had like 1-to-1. It was like you'd have 1 patient in the ER.
That's great. And I know I remember talking to people because it was very hard for me to like visualize or understand that COVID was quote unquote real. Because here in Huntsville, when it first started, there was no, like, I've never seen our ER as dead as it was because people were scared to come into the ER.
Yeah.
And COVID hadn't gotten here yet.
Right.
So like, I was like, is this real? And I remember messaging Brittany, and I was like, do they really have a truck outside? Like, are they really just throwing bodies in a truck? And you're like, yes. And like, but then you also, because if anyone doesn't know, Monique has her whole story on YouTube, which we'll link that at the end. But you were talking about how some of these people were dying because the lack of resources. Like if they're like, I remember you saying the oxygen on the wall, like if there wasn't enough oxygen, somebody was dying just because they ran out of oxygen.
Yeah.
Which is hard to imagine in America. I mean, we're not a
Right.
third world country,
Right.
you know? And so so when COVID first broke out and these people were dying like every day, like thousands every day, do you think it was because we didn't know enough about it and we didn't have enough resources?
I think it was two things.
Okay.
I think one was, yes, we didn't know enough about it. So like, I think a lot of people in the beginning died. Like one thing I know for sure people died of that we didn't know about were blood clots.
Yes.
So like people throw blood clots with COVID, but we didn't know that because the disease was new. So I would see people just die right in front of me. Like, oh, can I get some water? And then you come back with water and they're dead. And you're like, wait, what just happened? And they threw a clot. So
Yeah.
after we started realizing like people are just throwing clots, you know, whether it's turns into a PE or MI or whatever, they started doing like anticoagulation therapy and lots of different, you know, they were playing with different ones. Like, should we do heparin? Should we do Lovenox? I even gave TPA on a few people.
Oh, wow.
Which, you know, we usually only give that to strokes. And when they floated me up to ICU. So I think that was one of the things, just like learning about the different things that COVID does that we just didn't know. This is the first time like in our history of our age that, and you know, we're treating a disease that we actually know nothing about. At least when you're treating a heart attack or diabetes, it's like we know at least some research. It's like we know nothing about this and it's happening so quickly. So I definitely think that was one thing. I think another thing was that patients were so scared to nobody wanted to believe they had COVID.
Yeah.
It's like they knew COVID existed, but nobody thought they had COVID. Like, you're at home, you have a fever for a week, and you're coughing, and you didn't think you had COVID.
And
you
they're
know,
like, no, it's not COVID. It's a flu.
Yeah.
It's like,
flu,
what?
it's allergies. I mean, you name it. It was just like everything except for COVID.
Yep.
And I think because at that point, everybody thought that if they came in, they were like a death sentence. So nobody wants to come in. So because of that, people come in so late. So by the time they're coming in, you know, their oxygen saturation was like 50, you know, they couldn't breathe. I mean, you're getting yourself almost an automatic ventilator at that point because you're so low. And so everybody's like, oh, you get on a breathing machine. And it's like, that's not true. Just come in earlier. You know, we sent a lot of people home, but these were the people that came in earlier. We started treatment earlier. So I think that was also a big thing. Like people were coming in so late. And even now people still come in late, but I think people now are more likely to come in and get checked because there's a lot more people that have lived with COVID now. So people can say like, oh, my aunt had COVID and like, she's fine. Or like, you know.
But so conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Cause I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do feel like this virus, it's weird. Like being in the healthcare profession, like how is a virus affecting different people differently? Like to the extreme of no symptoms, death. Like, do you think that, I mean, in my opinion, I still feel like it was man-made and I feel like the vaccine's an antidote. That's just what
could be. We don't even know.
We don't know. I mean, I truly believe COVID is real. I'm just saying like, it's just weird because like the flu, we know the flu affects everyone the same unless you have lung problems, then you may get sicker. But I don't know.
I know what you mean. Like if most people, if they get the flu, they're going to have, you know, cough,
the
sniffles,
same,
but in the same way, sometimes not. Like some people get the flu and they just have like body aches and headaches and they don't really get the sneezy, runny nose side of it. Like I've had the flu in the past before and I never had any type of like runny nose or like anything like that. I just had like, I was really achy and stuff and that was about it. So I don't know. I hear what you're saying. I don't know. Like you said, the range is so wide. It's like you can get COVID and be like dead and you can get COVID and be like not.
Or I mean, just the symptoms.
The
just the
symptoms
symptoms in
so
general.
Varying. The lack of taste and smell, like that's such a random symptom to me. Like, why did we go for that?
We've had little old people come in and they just had a syncopal episode. It's like, oh, you're COVID positive. Nothing else is wrong with you, but you're COVID positive. You just had a syncopal episode.
Yeah. Like, yeah, what? Exactly. Like the randomness of it all. So, I mean, ultimately what we're seeing is that COVID just causes a lot of inflammation in the body. Yeah. So people's inflammatory numbers are always like really, really high. I think how that inflammation affects you varies. Yeah. But inflammation in the body, like for example, I actually recently went to like a holistic doctor like last year, just trying to figure some stuff out like for my health. And he did like this allergy panel test on me and found that I was allergic to all of these random foods that I eat, because I'm vegetarian. Like I'm allergic
Yeah.
to spinach. I'm allergic to like ginger. I drink ginger tea every single day. Because I'm Jamaican and this is just what we do. And just all of these foods that like I don't feel any different at all when I eat them. Sometimes if I go to Starbucks, I'll get the egg white and spinach like little thing. And apparently I'm severely allergic to egg white, spinach. I'm severely allergic to like oats and stuff. I drink oat milk every day. Like,
But did you know? So I had that same allergy test when I was going through all my weird thyroid stuff.
mm,
And someone told me when I worked with a functional doctor that if you eat those foods all the time, then they come up that you're allergic to them because you eat them all the time. I don't know if
could
that's true or
be.
not. It was just,
Yeah.
it was weird too, because I was allergic to everything I was eating. And I was like,
Right. You're like, I eat this all the time.
yeah, I
So
don't know.
yeah, so it was, I don't know, it was a little bit weird. And I had there was things like I'm not allergic to beef at all. Like I have the and I'm like, I don't even eat beef, but I have like it doesn't cause like any inflammation in my body, just like random things. But it was so once I got eliminated all of these foods and whatnot, like I wasn't having as much of the inflammation. I did notice that a lot of certain symptoms went away.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, I mean, not anything a whole lot, but it was just inflammation in general is just not good, for the body. And I
Yeah.
think when you get that inflammation, depending on what your body decides to do with it, like maybe it's affecting your stomach and you're having like IBS, or maybe it's affecting your thyroid, or maybe it's affecting whatever. But I think in the same way with COVID, it causes that inflammation, and how that inflammation affects you, I think depends on your symptoms.
Yeah.
So I feel like everybody, no matter what your symptoms were or were not, their inflammation is high. That's like,
Yeah.
that's like the common denominator amongst everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you, because I have an autoimmune disease and I have to cut out all these these inflammatory foods. And I do feel differently, even though I don't like it's very minimal and you can
Very
see
minimal.
it,
Yeah.
but it does help. Like I'll sleep better, or I won't be as fatigued or anything like that. So I do know what yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So when you
And
first
and
went
like you said, if I had the same like disease that you had, it may affect me differently just
yeah,
because of how it inflames in my body.
yeah, true. You're
Mhm.
right.
So that's the only thing I can think of with COVID towards why the symptoms are all so different. It's just all
Mhm.
the different inflammation just affects everyone differently. I don't
So
know.
when you first went to New York, you said y'all worked 21 straight days.
Yes.
How did you do that? Like, I can't even work 4 days in a row.
I
I can't
know.
even
Me
do
either.
it.
I honestly, I had no idea how I was gonna do it, because I had never even worked more than 3 days in a row, and I hated working three in a row. Like I never
Yeah.
liked it. I don't know. I guess in my head, what motivated me was like, okay, if these people can do it, so can I. I guess that was always the thing. It
Yeah.
was like
And it's
I've
and
never
you
done
know
this
it's
before.
short term, I guess.
Yeah, it's ending, and you're like, I know I'm a punk, but I'm gonna have to like stick it out. Like our grandparents and older people, I don't know what it was. They just have so much better work ethic than us.
So
Like
true.
they would, and it was like to make ends meet type of stuff. Like you're working like, 12 hours a day, like for your whole life, like 6 days a week, making like $1,000 a week or something, or less, or making
Yeah.
like $500 a week or something, and you're doing that for your whole life. And here I am, like I can't even do it for like 3 weeks.
Well, I mean, I get it, because they definitely had it worse, but in general, the healthcare industry in general, it's been a thankless job for a long time. And then
Mm,
the whole healthcare heroes came out for maybe a month. And I feel like it's gone back to like people don't realize that healthcare is not a service. Like, and when I mean that, I mean like it's not a restaurant, it's not a
right.
hotel room, but people want you to treat them as if it is so.
Yeah.
And it's really annoying, because like we're there to help you, yes, and I get it, but you have to understand I'm human. And like you said, if you're dealing with 12 sick patients, you're only one person. You can't
Yeah.
be in every room at one time.
Yeah. Like your warm blanket is not a priority right
Yeah,
now.
or your turkey sandwich.
Yeah.
Like
None of
like
these things are priorities right now.
yeah.
I mean, we'll
So
get to them if we can, but then when they get a survey, it's like, oh, we saved your life. But then they get a survey, it's like, did you like this hospital? No, they didn't give me my blanket. Like, okay, but you didn't die though.
and
Like,
that's
but
what
did
I
you
guess
die?
I wish the world understood, because I do get so angry. Like, I don't know. It kind of angered me a little bit when the whole healthcare heroes came out, because they're
Yeah.
like, thank y'all for what you do. And it's not that I wasn't appreciative, because I was very appreciative, but it's like, we do this every day.
Right.
This
Yeah.
isn't new.
Yeah.
I
Like,
mean,
what do
yeah,
you
the
mean?
influx is new, but if you've ever worked in our ER, and I mean, we are at a 10-hour wait all the time.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, it was just kind of
I
frustrating.
agree. I never considered myself a hero before, and so I never really
Mm-mm.
considered myself a hero at the time. I was just like, they're like, thank you, and I'm just like, I'm not doing anything different than what I was doing for the
It's
last
like,
like
this is
7
my
years.
job.
I know, and that's why it was always so weird. Like when I did work with the people who really like loved it and they like embodied their whole self and the whole heroes thing, buying like all these superhero shirts, and I'm just like, okay, I guess.
Me and you are just realists, I guess.
Yeah.
So, you posted about the COVID vaccine. And you were, because I people ask me, I'm sure they ask you all the time, like, what do you think? You know, and just like you said on your Instagram live or video, you said it's not your job to tell anyone what to do. You could only just present facts. So I got the vaccine. I got
Mhm.
both of them. I had no side effects with either one of them. Now, some of my friends got cold symptoms and then they were fine. Did you get the vaccine yet?
I did not.
Have you and I so you haven't you also don't have antibodies yet, right? Because you
No.
and no, you because you posted before I'll go back to the vaccine, but I remember I just thought of this. You posted after you left New York. Was it the first time or the second time? And you're like, I don't even have any antibodies.
Yeah, I was
I
so
don't
mad.
either. I don't either. I have mine drawn. I have none.
Yeah. And then I figured, okay, that was like, I haven't gotten my antibodies checked again since like what, June or so of 2020.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what, I'm gonna try again now. And I tried it again like what, 3 weeks ago after Texas and all these places, and I still don't have any antibodies. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
And that's what you said. You said either my PPE is just really good, and you're like, and I know it's not because I've been
Yeah.
wearing the same mask for 6 days.
I'm like, it's just the good Lord protecting me, apparently, because I'm just like, oh my gosh.
I hope you don't think I'm stalkers, but I watch all your videos because I just love
No, I
them. But
appreciate it. I
I'm just saying, like,
do. I'm glad that you actually like pay attention to them and you're able to like refer to them. It's just like, thank
yeah, because I
you.
have another one because you said that when you were in New York the first time, you said there was two different kinds of people. There was either the people that cleaned down the computer every single time someone touched it, they didn't take off any PPE the whole time they were there, or the other type of person who wouldn't wear anything. And the people who
Yeah.
wouldn't wear anything never got COVID, but the people who wore PPE 24/7 got it.
Yeah. It was
I
the
mean,
weirdest thing. But the people who never wore the PPE, they had antibodies.
really?
Yeah, like when we were leaving and we were all getting tested, they had like all these antibodies. I'm like, oh my gosh, you antibody people, you guys don't wipe down your computers.
But I wonder if it's because like it's slow exposure because like just being a
Maybe.
nurse in general, like
Yeah.
we're exposed to stuff because that's what I'm the most afraid of after COVID because we're wearing these masks. I'm so afraid that we're all going to be sick with the flu, with some kind of stomach bug because our immune system's no longer being exposed slowly to it.
Yeah, but I think we're still getting certain exposures
Okay.
because like if I mean, I wear my mask, but like if I'm not wearing an N95. So when I
Not
go to the
either.
store and stuff, I mean, I'm wearing a cloth mask.
Yeah.
You're still getting some form of exposure through that.
Okay.
I'm getting like Amazon packages. I'm sure there's some type of germs on there. Like I live with a few people. My brother lives at the house. I still think we're getting decent
Okay.
exposure. You're going to the gas station, like we're still like having to do certain things. Yeah, so what I'm more concerned about is how, because people are not going to the doctor, they're not doing these things, there's going to be so many like cancers and
That's
so many
true.
things, like the rate of the amount of mammograms have gone down like more than 0.5%. People aren't doing colonoscopies.
Well, that and just people like that. So when we first started getting patients back in the ER after like everyone was all these like congestive heart failure patients,
Yeah.
and they were so sick when they came in. They were like, "Well, I just didn't
Mhm.
want to come
Yeah.
because I didn't want to get COVID." And I was like,
Yeah.
"No, you have to come to the ER. Like you are sick."
Yeah.
So yeah, that did increase a lot. We have a lot of our
Yes.
heart failure patients and a lot of our like COPDers that wouldn't
Right.
come and
Because it was really weird because I'm like, especially at Huntsville Hospital, we
mm,
get a lot of strokes and heart attacks there,
yeah.
on a weekly basis, and a lot of other hospitals too. And then all of a sudden it's like nobody's having a stroke, like nobody's having a heart attack. Like,
Right?
like where are you guys? Like, even in New York, it was a trauma center I was at for the COVID, and it was like, there's no traumas, like nobody's getting hurt anymore, like where no one's
Yeah.
getting shot, but also people are not going out, as
Yeah.
much. So I don't know. It was all very interesting.
So back to the vaccine because I ramble. That's
Yeah,
why this
that's okay.
podcast is Battles Nonsense. um, what is your thought? Like, do you think that people, not saying that this is not a to tell people what to do, but like, do you believe in the vaccine? Do you think it's going to help us? Do you think this is going to bring the world back to what it should be?
I think, I think all of these things help. I
Yeah.
do. The flu shot helped.
Yeah.
It helped very minimally, and I never got the flu shot either. But it helped. It started, but like, the flu shot was only helping about like 30% accurate. So,
Mm-hmm.
I used to always do like my own personal research when I got people into the ER. Like, did you get a flu shot? You're here with the flu. And like most of my patients got the flu shot and
Yeah.
they all were still coming in with the flu. So I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, this shot is not the move. But and I feel that way with the COVID vaccine. I feel like, yes, it's probably going to be helpful. Like, especially with the elderly. Like if I was
Mm-hmm.
80 years old, I would get the COVID vaccine for
Yeah.
sure. If I lived at home with older people, like if I was just around a lot of at-risk people, I would probably get it also, just because if it helps a little bit to keep my grandmother alive or whatever, if they live at my house, then I'll do what it is that I can do. I get,
Yeah.
just for whatever reason. But I guess my whole thing is, for me personally, I'm not around any at-risk people,
Yeah.
thankfully. Like, my brother's here at the house, but he's my age also. He doesn't have any health. Who knows, he's probably had it. And if I get it, I'll probably get it from him. But like my grandparents, like I'm not around any at-risk people. And then when I'm on my assignments, I'm by myself in a hotel. So it's like I don't really feel the pressure that I'm going to be like, just if I do get it, I don't find that I'm going to be like spreading it around to like all these people, because I'm just
Yeah.
not around all these people. So for me personally, I'm just like, I don't know. And I just don't know truly, like when they're coming out with it, they were saying, okay, 30% effectiveness, and now all of a sudden they're saying, oh yeah, 90% effectiveness after 2. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
where did that number come from? Because you guys were saying it's almost as effective as the flu shot, but then you were saying that even if only 30% of the people it helped, that's still
Yeah.
something. So yeah, so I just think that it serves its purpose, but I don't think it's for me.
No, and I agree with you. Like everyone has to weigh their pros and cons and
Yeah.
for yourself. And what I went, I have a lot of doctors that I work with that are amazing. And I was very initially against getting it because I was like, well, I'm young, I don't live with anyone.
Yeah.
I don't go anywhere. But then someone did make a good point. Like I have this autoimmune disease, so we have no
Mhm.
idea what COVID would do
Exactly.
to me because I already have an inflammatory response happening in my
Exactly.
body.
Right. And it's
So
funny because some people don't get, like my other friend, actually my best friend, she has autoimmune and her mom has lupus, and they look great, but they're actually afraid to get the vaccine because they're like, okay, how is this vaccine going to affect my inflammation? Like, is it going to like
yeah.
set it off?
So I had to weigh that too because it was like,
Yeah,
so in my head, what I said to myself was, I don't know what COVID's going to do to me, and I don't know what the vaccine's going to do to me.
exactly.
But I know that COVID has a range of nothing to death,
Yeah.
and the vaccine has probably get me sick.
Yeah.
Probably that with me being young, that's probably what's going to happen is I'm probably going to get like flu-like symptoms.
Yeah.
Don't think it's going to kill me.
Right.
So that was my thinking and my logic
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
Which, like you said, everyone has to weigh
Yeah.
their
You
pros
just
and
weigh your
cons with
pros
it.
and your cons, like which one. And I do the same thing. Like, okay, what's the benefit of getting the vaccine? What's the benefit of getting actual COVID?
Yeah.
And my whole thing is, like, I don't know. I just feel like I want to see more longevity in the vaccine, because, different strains of COVID are already coming out and they're like, oh, it'll cover that too. And I'm like, how? How can you say it's going to cover the new strains when like we can't even, the flu shot doesn't even cover the new strains?
So back to my conspiracy theory, it's because it's an antidote.
Yeah, I'm just
I'm
like,
just kidding, guys.
yeah, but I just feel like they just like tell us random things like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
those who just got the COVID vaccine, you're covered, even for the new strains. Like how? Like
How do you
make
know
that make
that?
sense.
Yeah.
So I just feel like, and then what it's doing to the people who get the vaccine, they're not being as careful because they feel like, well, I can't get it. The girl I was working with, she got both doses of the vaccine, the first and the second dose in Texas, and she still got COVID.
Well, so after it said that it was preventative, I think I read something where it said that it's not that you won't get COVID, you're just not supposed to get as sick.
As bad symptoms.
Yeah.
I mean, and she was out of
yeah.
work for like 10 days. She had like the fevers, the cough. I mean,
Yeah.
and she was pretty young. She was like in her 30s. So who knows if she would have had it worse if she didn't get the vaccine? Like we don't really
No one
know.
knows. Yeah, nobody knows.
So, and my whole thing too with COVID, another reason why like a lot of people that are, oh, well, I'm young, I don't care if I get it. I get that, but why I don't want COVID personally.
Yeah,
I'm young.
I
I think
don't
I'll be
either.
fine. But we're seeing that COVID is leaving a mark on a lot of things in your body. So like there's this girl, she was 23. She came with COVID. She was fine. Recovered it fine. She didn't have like any symptoms. She lost like her taste or smell for like a second. She was fine. But now, like she was a runner. And now she can't run. She loses her breath. She can't even go up her stairs. She was like on a third floor apartment. She can't even go up her stairs without being like crazy short of breath.
Yep.
So they ended up doing like an x-ray on her and they found that her lungs had like all this fibrosis in it and all kinds of stuff. And
So
it's
we
just
have no
like,
idea.
he never
Yeah.
even had respiratory symptoms,
Yeah.
you know?
That's what's
But that,
scary.
yeah, but that inflammation is still going on in there, and you just don't know how that inflammation is going to leave like long-term effects on your body.
Yeah.
So that's why you don't want COVID. Even if you're going to live, you don't want there to be any type of like side effects left in you from the illness.
No, I agree. I completely agree with you because we've seen the same thing. It's like their lungs look like COPDers lungs, and it's like you're 20 something years old.
Exactly.
So you just don't know. And that's what's the scariest, I think, with COVID is that it's just the unknown. You
Yeah.
don't know. There's no one that can tell you.
Yeah.
But I know myself personally, this shit has to end before the end of the year. Like, I can't do this anymore.
And that's what most people are like, I can't do this anymore. And they're just like going on about their lives.
I mean, I'm still like social distancing and things like that, but it's like at the end of it, like I'm talking more so at work than I
Yeah.
am like wearing a mask for the whole time you're there. God,
Yeah.
and then people want to complain when they just have to wear it in the grocery store. It's like, dude, you're wearing it all of 15 minutes. Try
Yeah.
13 hours.
Yeah.
Like,
And that
so,
non-rebreather, it's like breathing in my own, I don't know, it makes my throat hurt.
yes. And that's what
And
I
then I
told.
feel like I have COVID. It's like the weirdest thing. And I'm like, do I have COVID? I'm like, oh no, this is just a mask. I have to keep reminding myself. Then I'm like, is it? I'm gonna go get tested.
No, because then I asked one of the doctors, I said, do you think in like 10 years there's going to be that lawyer commercial that says if you were a healthcare provider and
Yeah.
you had to wear this mask and you have
Yeah.
these fibers in your lungs, you
Yes.
can call this 1-800.
Yes, that's going to be us, and you know it. I can't wait to see these commercials because I'm filing for every single one of those commercials. Have you or a loved one? Yes, we have. Me and my loved one has experienced mesothelioma, asbestos related.
Hashtag dead right now.
Correct. So, yep, I'm going to be filing for all of those.
So before we end the COVID conversation, because I'm going to get to your personal life stuff you didn't know I was going to ask you. Do you have any like memorable stories that just like stand out in your head that you're just like, you want to tell people?
I mean, I just feel like everybody's story is so memorable to me.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that I really liked really thought was interesting rather is, being like dark skin of color, I get a lot of like racist patients, and it's just really funny. I don't mind them at all.
But still?
Oh yeah. But it's,
oh my God.
they're like my favorite. I don't know why, but
because it's a challenge really to make them love you.
Yeah, because like, you kind of just see them like transform. Like, you come in and it's like, hi, my name's Monique, I'm being a nurse. And they're just like, sometimes they'll just start talking about, they try to like get you riled up. Like they might have the news on and they start talking about Trump, or like, if I could get up, I would go to that rally myself and da-da-da. Like, okay. And we just started like, and I just like talk to them, I'm not like, we just like talk about stuff. And I have seen like most of my patients that were like, I even had one guy, he'd be like, I'm racist, but I just loved having you as a nurse.
What is wrong with people?
And it really made me laugh. He's like, I'm racist, but I just love having you a nurse. He's like, God bless you. Whoever you take care of, they are going to be so blessed to have you as a nurse. You took care of me for 3 weeks. And he was like, I don't even think I would have recovered well if it weren't for you and stuff. I mean, he gave me a lot of compliments, but he was like, I'm still racist. And it was just like really funny and kind of just like so enlightening to me too, because it's like, you can be a nice person and you can be, like kind and still be racist.
Well, so yes, and I think that because especially after everything that blew up, like with the BLM movement and everything like that, like I'm trying to educate myself because I don't know as much as I thought I did, and I probably have said some racial comments in the past that I didn't realize were racial, like saying I didn't see color. I didn't realize I did not realize. And so I literally, when that came out, I texted every single Black friend that I had. And I said, I did not mean that. What I meant was, I see you as a person. Yes, I see your color.
Yeah.
But that doesn't affect our friendship.
Sure. No.
But it bothered me because I was like, I don't know. Like, we all need to educate ourselves and do better.
Yeah. And then on top of that, I think even like for us, we need to be sometimes I find that, like some Black people are just hypersensitive as well. And I just feel like that also plays a role, it's just like, I think just everybody needs to just do a bit better too, because, like you can't just, in my opinion, I just feel like you can't just be just super hypersensitive about because people are ignorant. you know? And so somebody like, you know, like you said, I don't see color. And it's like, you mean well, like dig deeper into what the person, what their well-being is, you know, like, whereas somebody, you don't see color, and then how can you not, and do like the most, and it's just like, let's just like have a seat for a second.
Yeah, let's just have a conversation.
You know?
Let's just like educate me on how stupid I sound.
Let's just have a conversation,
it's know? Like, hey, Johnny, you sound real stupid right now.
Like, I was on the airplane one day and this cute little Asian lady came up to me and she was like, oh, your hair. I had it like curly or something. She's like, your hair. And she was like, you know, you can get a perm to straighten it.
No, you don't want to straighten your hair.
I was like, I know, but I don't want it straight. I like it like this. She was like, oh, okay. It's like, yeah, I think this is beautiful. And she's just like, okay, honey. And she just like tapped me and walked away. And it's just like so funny to me because everybody's culture is so different, you know, like what Asians deem as beauty is what Asians deem as beauty, you know, like, and you can't walk around and just like force everybody to think that what you are is beautiful or what you are is, you know, what it is. It's just like everybody has their different tastes. And I think everyone is kind of like allowed to have that, you know, like you might be like, oh, I like my guys tall, or I like them like this, or I like them, you know, it's the same to me. Sometimes it's just like a little bit of the same way. You don't have to be racist. And I think people use that term like very loosely, but you don't have to be racist to have a preference. Like I can say, oh, I prefer like light-skinned guys, or I prefer dark-skinned guys, whatever. Like that doesn't mean that I'm like anti-white or anti-racist or racist, or, you know, you can have preferences. And, you know, like, so I don't know. So it's all just like really, you know, but I also know that my personality trait is one of overly understanding.
You know, you are very understanding.
I'm like overly understanding sometimes. So I think sometimes I have to like reel it in and be like, all right, you're being overly understanding. Like, no, like that was not okay. Or this was not okay. Because I think a lot of times I let a lot of things slide because I'm overly understanding. And I even see that manifest like in my relationships or certain things where I'm just like, oh, I need to like put my foot down and be like, no, that's not okay. And like, I don't know. I just like I understand too much. So sometimes it's good for me to have conversations with people who are less understanding.
Like, hello.
Yeah.
Raise hand over here. You've worked with me.
They're like, and I'm like, oh, okay. You know, like I went to get a massage in Texas with one of my coworkers I actually made friends with in New York. And she went into the massage. And when I finished, I was like, oh, waiting for my friend. And they were like, oh, no, she's outside. And I'm like, wait. And they were like, oh, she left her massage. And I was like, wait, what? So I went out there and talked to her. She's like, oh, yeah, I spent like 5 minutes in there and I just walked out. And I was like, I was like, what happened? Like, I ordered deep tissue. He did not know what he was doing. And I asked him to adjust the pressure because it was way too light. And then he started going in harder. But it's like he couldn't do it like, he started like putting his elbow into it and just doing, and she was like, this guy does not know how to give a proper deep tissue massage. And she's like, I'm not sitting through this.
I wish I was like that, because I've had some massages, speaking of like that, I've ordered deep tissue and it's not, and I'm too afraid to say anything.
Yeah. Like, I'm just going to take it, you know? Like,
yeah, it's like well, that sucked, but
like, yeah, I'm just going to sit here and take it, you know? Like, I was just like, okay. And at the end, you know, like maybe instead of giving him a 20% tip, I'll give him like 18 or something. You know, but that really was eye-opening for me. Like, wow, I guess like that's what we should do, you know. And then they wanted her to enjoy her massage, so they gave her like, come back, we'll give you another massage another time, and we'll try to make up for it and whatever. And I was like, man, I should really be more like this and less understanding so that I can get like what I deserve. And I'm just really bad about that.
I don't think that you need to be less understanding. I think that you just need to be more direct. You could still be understanding and say, yeah, I understand that he didn't know how to do a proper massage.
But she was understanding, but I find myself to be very direct, but I don't know. I just feel like, oh, you know.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like I went and got my pedicure. I don't know if you saw my story the other day, and my toes are like bleeding and stuff. And people are like commenting to me like, I hope you didn't pay for that. And I'm like, I did. And I gave like a 20% tip because they meant well. Like they were so nice. And she was just like, oh, I'm sorry. Like she thought she was seeing maybe like my toenail was curling and she just was trying to like.
But she could have given you like another free pedicure or something.
She thought she was a podiatrist. Okay. They thought they were a podiatrist. They were like, they were like trying to get me like good, like, you know, oh, I think your toenail's curling. Like, we're going to take it all out and is this painful when I touch? I'm going to try to dig this nail out.
Right now. I'm glad you're not diabetic.
Correct. Because I would be ready for an amputation any moment. And so I was just like, do I have peripheral vascular disease or diabetes? And we're about to find out, like,
Oh my
to see how
God.
this healing works.
You're so funny. I love it.
So yeah, so I just like, I need to do a little bit better about just, you can still be kind, but being like, this food is like really cold. I'm sorry, but can I get it? Versus like eating the cold soup,
Yeah, I get it. So are you done traveling? Because I know you're at home right now and you just had your amazing one-on-one personal yoga sesh.
Yeah.
So are you going to be able to escape that and go
I
back on the road?
am going to go back.
Oh.
I am going to go back. I'm just taking like one of my childhood friends passed away.
Oh, I'm
and
so sorry.
I came home. I'm having to stay here until the funeral, which is the 21st. And he had stage 4 brain cancer. So it wasn't
my gosh.
Yeah, it was really rapid, out of nowhere, and poor prognosis. This all happened so quickly. So I'm going to stay here for that. And then after that, I'm going to try to get back. I just want to do like one more COVID assignment or so. And then I think I'm going to be done.
How rich are you now?
Not that rich at all. So I'm actually planning something. And like I've been trying to create like this certain business for about 3-4 years now.
Oh.
And so I failed at it the first time. And that cost me like $40,000 or so. And it took me a while to kind of pay that off. Like, no, it cost me about $50,000. And so I failed the first time, paid off like some of that debt, paid off the debt, got myself together, got a team because I was trying to do it by myself, so I'm like redoing it again. And now it's costing me $85,000.
Girl.
So it's just like, so all of my money, for the most part, everything I'm working for and doing is literally just like paying off debt and then going towards like this business.
Well, whatever you're doing, I know it's going to be great. And when you do start that business, you got to come back on the podcast.
Yeah, we'll talk all
and
about
advertise that business.
Yeah. So it is, I'll give you a little sneak peek. This is
an exclusive right here.
It is for travel nurses. So it's a certain platform that I'm creating for travel nurses. So
okay.
I'll definitely come back and give details. So it's just, it's been very, like I said, I started it. I got the idea in 2016. I was making my YouTube channels and I had told people like, I'm working on something for you guys. 2017 came. I thought it was going to, and it's 18 and 19. It's like, okay, we're in like 2021. So, a lot of like failing. And eventually when it does succeed, which I think it will this time because my team is absolutely amazing. So pretty much that's just what I'm doing. That's why I'm gotta do more of these COVID assignments and stuff, because pretty much every single check I make just goes towards that.
But that's good though, because then you won't be in debt and then you can just pay it off.
Yeah, that would be great. That's the hopes, that I can just work and just pay off everything that I owe. That way I don't have to like take out loans and all kind of stuff again.
Yeah. Well,
at this point I am debt free
anything.
And I am happy as can be.
I'll support anything you do because I don't see you failing at anything you do.
Oh, you're so sweet.
No, I'm serious.
I wish other men felt that way.
Well, that's like, so that's where we're going with this, because you post about your personal life and trying to find that man that God is sending you and that perfect man. Why are you single? Because number one, you're a freaking goddess. You're beautiful. Like, you work hard. You're funny. You're kind. You're caring. You've already said that you understand too much. What is wrong with these men?
That's why I'm single. I understand too much. I've got like men, they like, I don't know. It's like they want to date someone that's gonna like whip them into shape, It's like they don't think that. But when you see the women they end up with, it's like some bossy like woman that's like, you're gonna buy me that car, and here they are buying it for them. I'm like, wow, that worked. Like, I should try that. That doesn't work for me. But
I just don't.
I just think, honestly, I think I'm single because like God just has someone just like amazing, and I just feel like I am being prepared for it. Like, if I got them earlier, like I don't know. That's what I tell myself to make myself feel better.
Girl, like, you are so great.
Amazing. But it makes it harder when you think that way too, because now you just feel like whoever you're with has to be like so amazing to make up for all of these like bad times that happen. And you just, so like regular people just don't cut it anymore, because you're just like, no, like you don't look like a gift from God. I'm sorry. Like, I don't think that's you. like, oh, you're making $30,000 a year. This doesn't look like a gift. I am sorry. Like, you might have been a gift like 10 years ago, but.
That is so funny. And I know when you were traveling and y'all were wearing masks and stuff, you were telling a story on your Instagram about how this guy kept coming up to you, telling you that you were so beautiful. And you're like, how do you know?
Yeah.
You can literally only see my eyes.
Yeah. That's the funny part. I'm like, I can be trapping you right now. This is the whole like trap. And he's like, no, I can just tell. I can just tell.
Did
Like,
you ever
and
go on a
people,
date with him?
no, I didn't have time to. I didn't have time to do anything with, But I find that anytime I go to New York, I get like the most guys that like me because I think my personality just goes really well with New Yorkers. I love New York. I love New Yorkers. I'm very blunt, and
Yeah.
they're very blunt also. And the men are not like the men in New York. They don't mind, like they're not scared to talk to you.
Well, that's
Whereas in
good.
other states, they're scared and they don't want to get rejected and just New York, they don't care. It's like, oh, you have a big head. You could tell them like you have a big head. They're like, oh, but you love my big head, don't you? Like, okay, sir, like go have a seat.
Calm down. Calm
Yeah,
down, sir.
you're doing a lot.
So are you not dating anyone right now?
No, no,
So
no.
we got to find you a man. So if anyone's out
Yeah,
there and you think that you're man enough to date Monique,
I'm weak.
you have got to email me, babblesnonsense@gmail.com, and we'll get y'all set up on a date.
I'm so done. This turned into
Dating.
a Bumble podcast.
Hey, I can't say anything. I'm single too because no one can handle me because I'm just a bitch, I guess. I don't know.
No, you're great.
It's like I'm blunt too, and people don't know how to take that. It's just
Yeah.
like, it is what it is. So
Yeah, it's really weird. I don't know, but I feel like there's so many girls out there that are single and amazing, and the ratio is just not proportionate to the men.
Yeah.
Like, and I find that, and I was telling someone, and I applied for Love is Blind, the Netflix.
Did you?
Yeah. So we'll see.
No, you need to be the next Bachelorette.
No, I don't want to be a Bachelorette. I want to be Love is Blind because the Love is Blind is so great.
Oh my God, I hope you're on that show. You need to get on that show.
It?
No, but I've seen previews for it.
Mm-hmm. You need to watch it.
But I love it because if you're on that show, I'm going to literally be popcorn like, oh my God, go Monique.
It's so funny. No,
and then we can I could be exclusive interviewing you after you find your man.
Yeah, you never know. I think it will be great because I always want somebody to just like love me for who I am. That's been my big thing. And my mom's like, let it go. Just stop being yourself and get a man. I'm like, no, Mom, this is the worst advice you can ever give anybody. What is wrong with you, lady?
I love everything you post about your mom. She is so funny to me.
I'm glad she is to you. No, love you, Mom. You're great. Thanks for all your sacrifices and hard work. But
I'm dead right now.
Yeah, so I don't know. So we'll see. I just, I was telling someone like, a lot of people date out of their insecurities.
Yeah.
So, they kind of want this whole like, oh, nobody ever loved me. No one ever thought I was beautiful. So now like when a guy or a girl tells you like, oh, you're so beautiful, you're like, I am. Oh my gosh, wow, like let's date. Because that's such an insecurity for you. Mm-hmm. So I find that when you don't really have those insecurities, or you acknowledge your insecurities rather, and you say like, okay, this means a lot to me when someone likes me for this. It makes you more aware. So when someone does give me that, I know like, oh, I know that's really important to me, but I'm not going to just fall for you because you're giving me what I was lacking. You know, there's more to it than just that. We need to, and I think that's where people like, that's why people get married. And like a lot of relationships, I know I don't really even like the relationship.
You make a very good point there.
I don't envy anyone. I think I only know like one couple that I just really like. And I know so many couples. No offense if you're listening to your couple. I probably don't like your relationship. No offense.
I love it. You're just like, tell it how I feel it. That's just what it is.
I mean, but I don't really see a lot of relationships that I'm just like, I would want that to be mine. Like this looks like a healthy relationship. A lot of relationships are very unhealthy. It's two unhealthy people coming together. And when I get into a relationship, I want two healthy people, two individuals coming together.
That's what my aunt tells me all the time because I'm older than you. So I tell my aunt, I'm like, well, I guess I'm just going to be single. That's fine. Whatever. I've accepted it. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, and then sometimes I get jealous of my friends' relationships. And she's like, Jonna, you don't know. Like, yeah, sure. You want that, but you don't know what's going on behind closed doors.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
No idea. So, and I think it's harder for you too, because you're in the South, you're in Huntsville. I love Huntsville. It's my favorite place to live out of all the places I've lived. And people are always like, are you kidding me? I love Huntsville.
I love it here.
Yeah, it's great. However, well, there's a lot of engineers and stuff there now and stuff, but
everything's moving here, like the FBI and Facebook, and
I saw
it's growing.
Awesome. That's going to be looking bright for you. But otherwise, Huntsville, I love it, but it's a simple place. It's a simple place. It's not a super progressive place naturally. But that's what makes it so beautiful. The people are quality people. But at the same time, I think with personalities like mine or yours, those people can't handle. I dated a guy and Huntsville, I met at church, and I loved him. He was so sweet and so great, everything chivalrous and this and that. But oh my gosh, like, what was he eating? I don't even know. Like, sir, we're not eating that in my house, like, and like, he didn't want to travel. Like, they just want to live like this simple life. Like, I'm doing way too much. Like, I'm way too like ambitious, or way too just, they want to live a simple life. And I think it's beautiful. And I honestly envy simple people, because I wish that were me. I just feel like I could be simple and just be regular.
No, be you.
I keep trying to be, and it just like never works. I'm like, I just want to be simple. Everyone's looking at me like, I don't think so. I can do it.
That's the second question I have for you. Why are you not a model? Like, why are you not just trying to get yourself out there and modeling, girl?
No, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
No, I'm not there yet. If only people could see what I look like in the Zoom right now.
You look like, great, and you have no makeup on.
What are you talking about? I look great because you sent me that package for my skin. And I have been hooked on that for skincare ever since you sent me in New York. And I just finished like running, sweating, yoga, sweating outside. And my skin feels great. So thank you.
And it doesn't break you out. It's so great. I'm glad you liked it though. Because I was like, they may not like this. I sent it to you and Brittany, and I was like, they may not like this.
Girl, you like put me on. Like, I bought last year, like in October, they had a buy one, get one free sale. And I bought I was like, this is the best sale ever. Cause they're like, what, $200 or whatever for the whole package. I bought like 2 or 3 of them. I just felt like, I think it's like $400 or $500, and I got like all these kits for free. So I'm set all the way until like September of this year.
When they have the sale again.
Yeah. I'm like, when are you guys gonna do this again?
You really should probably just email them and ask them if you could be an influencer and ambassador for them. Seriously.
Maybe. I'll ask them.
You should.
I love them. Well,
I appreciate you so much for talking to me. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but is there anything else? Or no. You got to tell people where to find you. Like your YouTube channel, your Instagram.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you follow me on my Instagram, you'll get my day-to-day kind of like vlogging. Like, my Instagram handle is Monique Jolicia. So it's just my name, MoniqueJolicia. And just as a heads up, I'm actually getting ready to make a rant on my Instagram here in a second.
Yes.
Because
I love your rants.
So you heard it first here, but the rant is pertaining to, so I do a lot of things. I travel a lot. Like, even when I'm not working, I'm constantly just exploring and all these things. People are constantly asking me like, well, where is this? Where is this? Where are you? Where are you? And like, I don't like telling, like, if I don't put it on my story, it's intentional. It's because I don't want you to know. Like,
Number one, have you seen Stalkers in America?
Yeah, but honestly, that's not even why. It's not for the stalkers. It's for the purpose of like, do your own homework and do your own research. Like, I'm giving you the city. If I'm telling you I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, just go and Google, like whatever you see on my story,
big ass hotel,
beautiful waterfall in North Carolina. Like, you will find it. Like, it's not that I don't want you to know. I just want you to put in some work, because like, I put in so much work to organize and plan things and find places. Like, I would say 90% of the places that I go, I find myself. Maybe 10% I saw on something or whatever, but for the most part, I'm the one putting in all this research. So for people to just like watch my story and be like, oh, and just get it like that, like you didn't put in any work and oh, where is this? Oh, no, it doesn't work like that. Like, I am not TripAdvisor, like I know I may look like TripAdvisor, but I'm not. Like, go and find it yourself, or you can pay me for these services and I will plan your trip for you. But I'm not going to just give you all of these secret places and keys to eat and all these things. Like, it's not TripAdvisor. And one of my favorite shows growing up was Blue's Clues, and it's just like, I put clues in all of my stuff. It might be a poster behind me with the name of the restaurant. It might be the menu. Like, just use your eyes, people. Like, Blue's Clues. Like, just find the clues and figure it out yourself.
Or find your geotag.
Sometimes I use it.
Yeah.
But sometimes I don't, because like, I don't want people to like, I don't want to just give away the answer.
But you can hide your geotag in your photos. You know that, right?
Wait, you mean like in my story?
Like, you can put it under. So if you swipe up and do like the place, and then you click on a picture or something, it'll go over on top of it.
Oh, so like to put it behind it.
Yeah. So people can't see it, but if they're smart enough to click on the photo.
Yeah. Then maybe it'll show up.
Yeah.
Maybe I can do that on one of them and like play a game with these people. So, but then it's like, I feel so mean because people will message me and I'm like, how do I say this to them? Like yesterday I went out.
Just don't answer them.
No, because then I don't want to be mean. So I'm just like.
Just ghost them.
back to my overly understanding qualities. You know, it's like, I don't want to be me. I don't want to, you know, just, so I write to them and I'm just like, hey, you know, the city is tagged. You can look it up yourself. And then I put like a heart or like a hug emoji to try to like soften it up. like, oh, the city is Miami. I told a girl that this morning. And she was like, oh my gosh, you're so messed up. And I was like, I'm sorry, but I put in a lot of work to find these places. So, and she was just like coming up with all these excuses like, well, I work a lot. And I'm like, yeah, me too. But I still like find these places. so
yeah, bitch, I do too. I know.
So I'm just gonna like make a video, and it's gonna be like anytime someone asks me, I'm just gonna send them this video of me saying like, this is not Travelocity, this is not TripAdvisor, this is Blue's Clues. Yeah,
this is a game.
Of my page is Where's Waldo, Blue's Clues. Just pretend this is a game, okay? I don't mean to be rude, but
that's what it is.
Yeah, it's the teacher in me. Like, I just want people to put in some work, you know, put in a little bit of work.
And then can I get to your YouTube do you have a link tree in your bio?
Not for my YouTube. I need to be honest, I need to do more of my YouTube videos. My YouTube videos are really good if you want to be a travel nurse, like if you need some information about it and stuff like that. But I haven't, and then the New York experience is on there and stuff too. But I need to actually do some more updated videos.
But you're really good with that.
I haven't done like a video aside from New York in like years. Well, but I think it's called The Travel Nurse
on YouTube. I'll link it in the show notes. I'll find it. I'll Blue's Clues it, and I will find it, and I'll link it in the show notes.
The Travel Nurse. If you just put like Monique Jolicia, that's like the easiest way to find it. It's just my name.
Okay.
I'm the only person with this name.
So and we'll keep it that way.
It'll be easy to find. Monique Jolicia.
Thank you so much for doing this with me and educating some people on COVID and just hearing your experience firsthand. I really do. I mean, you took out your time to do this for me, and I really appreciate it. So
no problem. It's my pleasure. I was happy to like meet up with you and see you and talk to you.
I know we haven't been forever.
I'm sad because I usually make a trip to Huntsville at least twice a year, get my hair done. My hair lady's there, all this stuff, but I haven't gone there because of COVID.
Well, when COVID is over, you're going to come back. And we're going to go to the Tom Brown restaurants. They have some really cool drinks. They have a lavender martini. I know it sounds absolutely disgusting, but it is so good.
I love all things lavender. You remember I lived in Seattle and they put lavender in everything.
It was so, I slept like a baby. I had 2 lavender martinis, alcohol and lavender. Slept like a baby.
Yeah, between the two of them. All they're missing a little Benadryl. And then we could just like change the name, The Sleeper.
That would be the best.
Yeah, but no, I cannot wait to come back to Huntsville. Shout out to Oakwood University. I went to Oakwood in Huntsville.
Yeah.
And I just miss visiting there and going to church there and stuff like that too. So.
Well, yeah, when you come, you have to let me know and we'll have to meet up. Yeah, but good luck to all your travels. Good luck to your business. I know it's going to be a success. And until next time.